Thank you. You have the floor for 5 minutes from the group of APP. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, dear Commissioner Reinders, dear colleagues. Before maybe I go into the content of my contribution here today, I do have to find it disappointing that we have this debate only today with Commissioner Reinders. It's nothing personal against Commissioner Reinders, obviously, but the fact that we're talking about ongoing Article 7 procedures and there is an empty chair to the left of me, even though we all know that the main challenge when it comes to Article 7 procedures lies with the Council, it is very disappointing that the Council is not here present today for this debate. Now, in the plenary session in March or April, we already discussed the ongoing procedures for Hungary and Poland in detail and the lack of any progress in where it comes to protection of rule of law. So also today is good to look at the procedural issues that we have in this European Union. And for the EPP, the European Union is first and foremost a community of values. A shared commitment to democracy, rule of law and fundamental rights is the glue that holds our union together. And we can make all the progress we want on the internal market, on trade policy, on any other policy field, whatever we want. But without a joint commitment to our founding values, none of that progress will ever be sustainable for the future. Because how can we create a single area of freedom, justice and security if we cannot rely on the impartiality and independence of judges in all member states? How can we expect to have a level playing field for our SMEs if we cannot rely on the fact that member states will actually follow the rules that we have set together? And how can we count on the democratic legitimacy of the decision-making progress when national elections are marred by the absence of a level playing field? When the rule of law is undermined in one member state, it affects the whole of the European Union. And this is precisely why we've always been very strict with countries that want to join the European Union. The rule of law and the Copenhagen criteria are the main focal points of the whole accession procedure, and for good reasons. But when we look back, it's also fair to say that as soon as an accession treaty is signed, that scrutiny seems to somehow disappear. And this is a situation that we cannot longer accept. Rule of law is so important, it's so crucial, that it requires the constant and full commitment from all European institutions. And it's not that no progress has been made. The annual rule of law reporting that the Commissioner referred to is a very welcome and important step, because it also shows that rule of law and the debates we have here in this Parliament are not directed to only one or two countries, but it's something that all member states need to work on. But even more importantly, with the conditionality mechanism, we took the historic step of linking values to the European budget, making sure that European taxpayers' money is not used to further undermine and weaken rule of law and democracy, but instead to strengthen it. And we welcome the Commission's decision to send a formal notification to Hungary, and we look forward to seeing the concrete follow-up. And we call on the Council in that context to show full commitment, full political commitment, to bring this procedure to a successful conclusion without delay. Because as much as the annual rule of law report and the conditionality mechanisms are necessary and welcome supplements to the Article 7 procedure, just as with the Article 7 procedure, without real political commitment in the Council, the added value will always remain limited. Because for a long time it seemed that in the Council the rule of law was like Voldemort in Harry Potter, something that should not be mentioned by name. And even though we now see Article 7 hearings resume in the Council, and we welcome this resumption under the French presidency, actions speak much louder than words. And it's actions that we need. We need concrete recommendations with strict deadlines. EU leaders cannot just talk about rule of law every now and again and then pat themselves on the back for a job well done, to tick it off the box of the to-do list and to continue work as usual. We need concrete recommendations. If nothing concrete comes out of these hearings, there is little point in having them at all. So concrete recommendations with strict deadlines, and if these deadlines are not met, we need to look at all the other possibilities that the Article 7 procedures offer us. We cannot allow our common values to be put at risk. And this is also our main call to the Council in the resolution we will adopt this week. Show genuine commitment in defending our founding values and to make real and meaningful progress in the ongoing Article 7 procedures. And I know there are people who argue that with the terrible war in Ukraine ongoing, now is not the time to focus on rule of law issues at home. That it would not be fair to bother member states like Hungary and Poland with procedures or conditionality at a time when the Polish and Hungarian people are making such great efforts to welcome Ukrainian refugees. But let me be absolutely clear and repeat also what I said last week. Yes, we need solidarity in the EU. We need to help the member states most affected in hosting hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian refugees. This is why we are together in one union. But let me also be clear. Helping member states deal with an unprecedented crisis should not come at the expense of being silent about rule of law issues at home, because it would be cynical that while Ukrainians are fighting, are dying for freedom, democracy and rule of law, it would be cynical to turn a blind eye on the attack of those very same values at home. If anything, Putin's Russia should be a stark warning to all of us about the dangers of a system where checks and balances, democracy and rule of law have ceased to exist, and it should embolden us to fight for those values even more passionately at home. Thank you very much.